What's up, all you success students? I'm going to explain to you guys your first project, Name with the 7 Elements. Essentially what it is you're going to have to include your name with all 7 elements of art. It simply requires one sheet of paper, pen, pencil, maybe some markers, and some watercolor paint if you have any. The paper does not have to be anything special, just a sheet of copy paper, 8.5 by 11, really simple. So you don't need that many supplies. So the 3 requirements are that you need to put your name on the piece of paper, you need to include all 7 elements of art, and it needs to fill up the whole piece of paper. So I'm going to go ahead and cut over to a screen share and let you guys check out the research I'm going to do to help you guys out figure out what you can do, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. All right, here's the screen share. Alrighty then. All right, so I'm going to show you guys some brief research on how to start looking for the seven elements of art on the internet and some good internet examples of what the Name with the 7 Elements project looks like. So the first thing I'm going to look up is the elements of art. So what I basically did was I went to the Google, I typed in elements of art, and now I'm going to click on images. There are a lot of different posters out there giving you guys the 7 elements of art. There's one in particular that I like. I really like this one, and that one's pretty cool. But I also really like, let's see if I can find it. Ooh, that one right there. I really like that one. I'm going to go ahead and just click on that website. So these are the 7 elements of art: line, shape, color, value, form, texture, space, and what? Time? That's interesting. That's new. There should only be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, time. Don't worry about time. That's not an element of art. But these definitely are right here. Line, shape, color, value, form, texture, and space. All 7 of these have to be in your piece of art somewhere. So with that being said, let me give a brief explanation of what each is. Line is very simple. It's just line. We've been drawing lines, well, probably since we were babies, just wee little babes, just tiny little people. It can be very thick, very thin, squiggly, tiny, all sorts of things. Well, whenever lines end up going up in the meeting, they end up creating shapes. Color, the color wheel, there's also saturation, hue, tints, and shades. So this is the hue red, and it has a shade of red, and then it goes down to different saturations of red. So it definitely has to include color somewhere. Value is whenever it goes from darker to lighter. So whenever you see shadow on something, or like whenever you see a drawing of a sphere and it moves from the darker part of the sphere moving into the lighter part of the sphere, giving the illusion of 3-dimensionality. Form is just three-dimensional shapes, basically. Texture is how something feels. So it's whenever you draw little lines to see how something feels, or whenever you see the lines on a piece of paper and it looks like hair, or you see dots on a piece of paper and it looks like sandpaper. Space is one of 2 things. Space could either be something that is close versus something that is far, which is like this one here, close versus far, or positive versus negative space. So this is negative space and this is positive space around that little dude. If you'd like to go into further detail, I strongly encourage you to go ahead and type in element of art and the one that you want to investigate further, like line, and click on images. And that gives you a lot of examples of line. Or texture. Or if you're confused about space. So this is positive negative space versus close space versus far space, giving the illusion of depth, like these are close and that one's very far away. So go ahead and do some research looking up each element, and that should help you figure out how to include each one of the elements inside your Name with the 7 Elements. So speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some examples of Name with the 7 Elements and what's acceptable and what's not. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and I typed in Name with the 7 Elements in the Google, and I clicked on images. Just that, right there. You're looking at it. So this is the whole sheet of paper I mean, granted, your name isn't Smile, but let's say your name is in here and it has all 7 elements. It can be something as nice as this, or it could be something as elementary as this right here. This was made by a 3rd grader. So as long as it meets the 3 requirements, has your name in it, has all 7 elements, and it uses the whole piece of paper. So let me show you some examples that are not acceptable. This is acceptable. And this blank space right here, that's kind of iffy. But let me try to find one that is not acceptable. So if you turn something in like this, I would say, I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. Please keep going. Because you have all these blank spaces right here that you need to keep going on. I'll tell you what, I actually draw one out for you right now. Just a really quick example. Hang on one second. Let me switch over to my document camera and I'll go ahead and show you guys an example of what I'm talking about. I'm simply going to start working with some bare bones here to help you guys out. So you simply just make your name. My name is Dave, so I'm going to write my name, Dave. You can make it as big or small as you want. Like that. And now I'm going to section this off into 7 different sections, each section representing the 7 elements of art. So like, let's say, I'm just going to do some squiggly lines. There we go. And then each one of these sections, I'm going to start representing one of the 7 elements of art. So let's say in this one right here, I'm going to start doing shapes. So now again, this is just a quick rough draft just to give you guys a general idea of what I'm looking for. So I'm going to do circle shapes. But in here, I'm going to make like a grid of squares. So that satisfies section for shapes. And if I want to, I could probably make like if I had a red colored pencil, I would like to do a quick light red background. So this is just a really brief example of how to fill up your whole piece of paper. Now, if you were to turn this into me right now and say, Mr. West, I'm finished, I would say, I'm sorry, but you definitely need to keep going. At any point, if you'd like to take a picture of your work and email it to me and say, hey, what do you think else I should do? I'll be more than happy to give you what I think. All right, that's pretty much it. That's how to get that job done and get that project in. If you have any problems using the art portfolio, you can always email me and I'll direct you to the correct video to learn how to create your own art portfolio and start turning work in. All right, I look forward to seeing your work and I look forward to seeing you soon in either my Google Meet session or your name in my inbox asking me questions. Thanks again. Take it easy.